Greetings and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is episode 18 of Karl's Spirit Month. What a wonderful spring day. It was a little cool this morning, but it's really kind of become very temperate. I'm out here sitting by the koi pond, and I'm getting ready to have a glass of bourbon. And tonight we're going to look at one of the favorites of the bourbon world, and that is the Weller Special Reserve, or Green Label, as it's commonly called. It's got a green label. Go figure, right? This is the entry-level brand for the Weller products. There are actually four others, including the William LaRue Weller, which is part of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. But the Special Reserve, this basic entry level, is a product of Sazerac through its distillery Buffalo Trace. It all starts with a young man named William LaRue Weller, who was born in Kentucky all the way back in 1825. He starts distilling spirits in the 1840s and around Louisville, and eventually his brand is going to be merged to the Stitzel distillery by none other than Pappy Van Winkle, another name you may have heard of. And together they're going to form the Stitzel Weller Distillery Company. The Stitzel Weller Distillery went out of business and was eventually sold off in pieces way back in the 1980s, with Weller being shuffled from one house to another. It was owned by Seagram's for a while, then eventually Sazerac owned the brand. The thing about Weller that's a little bit different is that it is a wheated bourbon. And what this means is that in the mash bill of corn, rye, and then malted barley, the rye is removed, and in its place, wheat has been added. And so what this means in reality is that in the glass, this probably is going to taste a little more similar to a Maker's Mark than it will to a Buffalo Trace. In fact, the mash bill for Weller and is unknown, but it is the exact same for Pappy. Any of those Pappy brands that you've seen, the mash bill in those bottles is the exact same as is in this bottle. So the ratio to corn, to wheat, and malted barley is exactly the same. In fact, the juice is made on the exact same line at the same time. It is aged in the exact same charred oak barrels. They are housed in the same warehouses, but the Pappy barrels are aged in a different part of the warehouse and for a much longer period of time. Today, Julian Van Winkle, who's the head of the Pappy brand through Buffalo Trace, has said that when he can find it, he prefers to sip on Weller Green Label. He says this is by far one of the best bourbons on the market, which is a great accolade for a bourbon. But if you stop and think for a moment, that also is going to hurt its availability. We don't know the exact mash bill, as I said. It is a wheated. I'm going to guess it's probably, if you take a standard Buffalo Trace mash bill, it's probably going to be around 80% corn, probably 10 to 13% wheat in this case, and whatever's left over is going to be the malted barley. It is bottled at 90 proof. It does not have an age statement, although some sources will say that it's about 7 years old or so. So let's take a look at it. In the glass, it's beautiful. It's got a great burnished copper look. I don't mean the bright copper, just a really nice aged, well taken care of copper. Beautiful sugar line, nice thick sticky legs. This is everything that I like to see in the glass itself. As for the nose, guys, this is the first thing I really pick up is a hint of, and I'm going to say this, it's going to sound weird, but stick with me. It's heated hay. This is hay that's been cut, been laying in a sunny field right before baling. So you get a little bit of dust here, but it's also a really sweet smell. It's a dry, sweet smell is what I'm trying to describe to you. I get a little hints of some caramel in here as well. And then there's something a little deeper. And I'm going to call those deeper notes something like a sort of roasted nut. It's a really good nose. And there's a little bit of spice as well, but not much. As for taste, This is just a smooth and sweet drink. It's almost the way it coats your mouth. It's a medium body liquid, but it really just coats your mouth. It makes me think of honey. It's got a honey flavor a little bit, and it's followed by a creamy caramel and a creamy vanilla. I say more caramel than vanilla, definitely. And it just really coats the mouth. It just really makes it feel full. It's not chewy, but yet it's just a really good medium body that really coats well inside. And the finish on this is warm, warm, warm. It's got a nice long finish. You got a little hint of mint there, but also I get more honey. It's on the honey's in the back part of the tongue, the back part of the palate, coming down on the finish. It really finishes very strongly with that honey flavor. It's a very mild, easy to drink, sipping whiskey. Overall, guys, I think this is a fantastic bourbon. I really do. It's not impossible to find. Occasionally, you'll find it around Cape or even in Jackson. Uh, it used to be much easier to find, but like I said a while ago, with you have people like Julian Van Winkle or Fred Minnick really saying this is a great bourbon, and it's comparable to a Pappy. I'm not saying it's the same as Pappy because Pappy's Pappy, but this is the same stuff. It's just not aged as long. But when you have all those things going against it, people are going to be wanting to snap up this bottle of Weller Special Reserve. And I think this is just a great, great bourbon to sit and sip on casually with friends who understand and enjoy a great bourbon. Karl ranking, I'm going to go ahead and give this bourbon, since I enjoy it, 4.5 stars. That's 4.5 stars. It's smooth, it's warm, it's got a great mouthfeel. That honey consistency and flavor really is a fantastic blend with the caramels that pop. And I think what really would hold this back for me, keeping it from being a 4.75 or a 5, is really the nose on this. I really think the nose could be a little bit more forward. I don't want to smell the dry dust as much as I want those great bourbon flavors to start coming through. Again, nothing wrong with that dry, dusty smell. Something I've smelled my whole life working in the hay fields. It's just something that you really kind of like and appreciate. But I think that could be off-putting to some folks. So 4.5 stars, highly recommended bourbon. If you can find a bottle of this, I would recommend snatching it up. How much does this bottle cost? Well, they say it's a $20 bottle. It's not. It's probably going to be the $30 to $50 range. Prices are going to vary on this by location, and that even means from one place in Cape to another place in Cape, it's going to be very, very drastic. I've even seen this as high as $100 before in St. Louis. It's not a $100 bottle. It's outstanding, but it's not a $100 bottle. If you can find it, I highly recommend Weller Special Reserve, ladies and gentlemen. It's the youngest of the Weller line. The next up is the Weller 107. It's the red label. It's 107 proof. And then the Weller 12 year is the black label, followed by the blue label, which is the Weller barrel proof. And then there's William LaRue Weller, which I told you earlier was part of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. You're probably not going to find that anywhere around Cape or Jackson. The others, I haven't seen the blue label before, but occasionally you will see the red and the black appear in our area. Find it and get it. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I want you all to stay safe, peace, and happy pours.